Welcome to the Ideas with Impact podcast, where we will dive into the fascinating world of women's health, women in business, women in spirituality, growth, and everything about women. Join us as we explore the stories, challenges, and triumphs of remarkable women from all walks of life. From discussing the latest advancement in women's health to highlighting inspiring female entrepreneurs, this podcast is your go-to resource for all things women related. So get ready to be informed, empowered, and inspired as we navigate the diverse and ever-evolving landscape of womanhood. So grab your headphones, tune in, and let's embark on this incredible journey together. Welcome to the Ideas with Impact podcast. I'm your host, Alexandra Gamrat. Beth is a self-sabotage coach who helps people reprogram their conditioned mind to overcome their self-limiting, self-sabotaging beliefs and behaviors, empowering them to live their best lives. She's a former HR professional, including 17 years of service in the Canadian government. Since 2019, she's been on a path of awakening, self-discovery, and growth, focusing on nutrition, physical health, mindset, and overall well-being. She successfully shed 60 pounds, and she's proud to say she's the healthiest she's ever been in her life. Through her own life experience, her health journey, and completing Jason Christoph's Freedom from Self-Sabotage Coaching certification, she's excited to help others to take control of their health and their lives.
Hi, Alexandra. How are you?
Good to have you on.
So great to be here. I feel honored that you invited me on, and I'm super excited about you launching into this podcast. It's amazing. So
Yeah,
excited for
I'm
you.
super excited too. Absolutely. So, Beth, um, tell me a little bit about yourself and a little bit of your background. So, what you
Sure.
do.
So
Mhm.
yeah, so I've actually been in the corporate world most of my career. Out of university, I went to high tech. High tech was booming. High tech bubble burst not too long after, and so I got into a more stable career. I was working in HR, so I've worked corporate HR my whole career. Got into stable government job, doing everything from recruitment to classification, org design, job evaluation. I worked in the federal government as well. And so kind of went back and forth between federal government and private sector in high tech in Ottawa. And, a couple of years, I think for a little while, I was starting to think, is this really what I want to do with my life? Is this really my purpose and passion? And so while, I had amazing colleagues and mentors and a great experience and a lot of challenges, I just felt like something may have been missing. So, I was thinking about that, quite a few years ago. Um, but what really kind of triggered this awakening for me and to pursue other things in my life was my own health journey. And so in, 2019, I started to get really concerned about my health and a lot of the physical symptoms that I was experiencing that, really, when I reflect back on, I had been experiencing for years. And, as a busy mom, I have two boys. They're now 22 this week and a 14-year-old, and, lots of hockey, lots of activities. And just being a full-time working mom, I felt, I would put myself kind of last, in terms of priorities.
Yes,
And
I can definitely relate to that.
yeah, I think as busy moms, full-time moms, I mean, it's not about us, and God forbid it is about us, because then, sometimes we're considered selfish, or, we're not putting our family first. And so that's really where I was at. But unfortunately, my body was telling me different. It was, I think, trying to wake me up to the fact that what I was doing or not doing was really detrimental to my health. So I was experiencing, I have always experienced migraine headaches most of my adult life. They were ramping up in frequency and intensity. I was starting to have high blood pressure, which was super concerning for me. I've always had low blood pressure. Starting to have skin and eye irritation, skin tags, weight gain, stiff and sore joints, fatigue, exhaustion, overwhelm, anxiety, like all of these things. And they were just mounting up. And so I don't know if it was that I hit rock bottom or that, all of these symptoms accumulating really kind of woke me up out of my slumber. And I started to listen to my body and really dig into what are these symptoms all about. And so I was actually doing my own research. It's not even that I went to my traditional doctor, I even have a naturopath. It was something that I felt I needed to do for myself. So that was in March of 2019 when I really started to dig in and realized that many of these symptoms were attributed to inflammation and insulin resistance, which was all really because of my poor diet and what, is the standard Canadian or standard Western
American
diet.
diet. Yeah.
And I didn't think I was, eating that badly. I was just kind of, going with the flow, following the norm. I think the majority of the population follow the Canadian Western standard diet and they think that that's all good and that's what everybody's eating. Um, but I realized that it really took a toll on me. So I realized I was a carb addict, I was a sugar addict, and these ailments really, really affected my health. So I had to do a lot of owning it, right? I had to realize that what had got me to that point with my physical symptoms and my health was the fact that I had been eating this way for so many years and ignoring a lot of the signs and the symptoms that my body was throwing out there. And then what I had to do was dig in and research, well, how am I going to get myself out of it? And so that's when I really leaned into my food choices, establishing healthy habits. And so it was honestly like a night and day transformation. I ended up throwing out a lot of the bullshit foods in my house. So the flour and the sugars, the carbs, the crackers, the pastas, and I
Yeah.
really switched over to whole foods and really prioritizing healthy, organic, raw vegetables, good proteins, good
Mhm.
healthy fats, that we have been eh, I think we've been bamboozled to think that they are not a good important part of our diet, so then I'm
That's
starting
it.
to incorporate the olive oil, the avocado oil, the ghee, the coconut oil, the
That's it. We've
butter.
been so brainwashed in the 80s, right? And
So
early
brainwashed.
90s that coconut is bad for you, fat is bad for you. Eat the low fat yogurts and the
Yes.
canola oils, which is so bad, right? Hmm.
Exactly. And it's like I couldn't believe how much I had to throw out and not consume anymore. So I went through, a lot of withdrawal symptoms, although I have to say that it wasn't as bad as what I geared myself up for. And I think it's because I knew that I also learned that hydration was going to be super important and not just with, good old tap water, which at the time that's what I was drinking, right? Municipal tap water, which I know now is full of chemicals and heavy metals and fluoride and chlorine, and it's not good. But at the time, that's what I was drinking. But I made sure that I incorporated a good quality sea salt and electrolyte powder as well. So I was going, having, 3 square meals a day, but incorporating a lot of healthy whole foods. And I quickly realized how much better I felt. So my whole journey started not because I wanted to lose 60 or not because I wanted to lose weight. I didn't know how much I weighed at the time. I didn't own a scale. Even when I went to the doctor a few months before that, I didn't ask her how much I weighed. I know she noted it down in my file, but I didn't want to know. I knew I was overweight. I didn't know by how much. But it was just within, honestly, a couple of, even a week or two where I started to feel less heavy, less bloated. I know that I was losing water weight because I no longer had, these swollen wrists and ankles.
Hmm.
And I just started to feel clearer. It was actually pretty amazing. So while yes, I went through some withdrawal of sugar and carbs because I was an addict, I started to feel like, wow, I don't feel like a slave to my food where I constantly need snacks in my purse so I don't feel lightheaded or dizzy. I felt like I could get through, these meals without having to snack. And I felt that that was so freeing. And then I started losing some weight, which was even more motivating for me. Um, and so
So what was
within
your, may I ask, what was your weight before?
Yeah, sure. So I was 198 pounds so I'm 5'6", 198 pounds it was around the end of January that I had gone to my doctor. Remember, I didn't ask her what I weighed, but when I went so when I started my health journey in March, went to the doctor in June, and she weighed me. And by that point, so between March and June, I had lost 25 pounds based on the fact that I probably weighed 198 pounds when I started, which is when she
Right.
took my weight in January. And so she was super concerned. She was concerned that I had lost weight and wondered how my health was. And I said, "Well, I've been eating healthily. I'm incorporating healthy whole foods, and I'm doing it deliberately." So, I understand the concern that maybe she's thinking there's something else going on. I don't know, stress or some kind of ailment or disease. But I reassured her that I was doing it deliberately. And I question sometimes that maybe she was concerned because she doesn't see a lot of success stories, especially around, I was, coming up to mid 40s. Um, and that's probably not something that she sees in her office very often, that someone who is successful with losing weight. So losing the 25 pounds by June just kept, I mean, it motivated me further. It wasn't even the weight loss, to be honest, but it was how I was feeling. And I
Mm-hmm.
felt for the first time, probably in my life, that I felt in control
Mm-hmm.
and not deprivation, not sacrificing, myself or my taste buds or what I was eating. I felt very satisfied with the whole food choices that I was making, and I thought, well, this is sustainable. And that's what I wanted from the very get-go. I knew that I was going to be successful because what I had been researching really made sense to me. That once you switch, over and you're no longer dependent on these refined foods, that you're
Mm-hmm.
not going to be dependent on them. You're not going to be having the same cravings and temptations. And that the fat and the proteins and the good veggies and, that will sustain you. And that was totally very attractive to me, in terms of, yeah, I can totally do this. This is going to be a lifestyle overhaul, but I'm going to do it and I'm going to be successful. And so
That's it.
it was about a year and a half where I lost a total of 60 pounds, and I've maintained it, and I'm continuing, to learn and grow, and wanting to constantly improve my health and my body. I feel like I'm very open-minded and wanting to know, okay, now that I've switched over, and that was all done without exercise. So I hadn't even incorporated working out during that time. It was really just about my food choices. And
Yeah, because that was
so,
also a change. Like you went through the COVID period, right? When
yeah,
you went through your journey.
exactly. I did. And so when a lot of people, were locked down, and I think a lot of people were stressed and anxious and, ordering the beer and the food to home, I was still continuing on my health journey
Yeah.
and, still seeing success and still feeling really good and really healthy.
Yeah, that's amazing. Wow.
Hmm.
Congrats. All I can say is congratulations. Like this is a
Thank you.
huge step. Um, what
Yeah.
was your biggest challenges within that journey that you went through?
I think the biggest challenges was the fact that when I was at home in my own environment, I'm doing the grocery shopping, I'm doing the meal prepping, I'm doing the meal planning. But then if I was out in a social group setting, whether at a restaurant or at a party, I felt more pressure to, go with the flow in terms of not even just the fact that I would have cravings or temptations. It wasn't really that. It was like, other people are eating this stuff. Meanwhile, I'm going to be over here,
Eating
eating my salad
salad.
with protein, bringing my own dressing in my purse, maybe. Like that was really hard. When it comes to social pressure, group dynamics, group pressure, there's so much against us, and we want to conform. That is part of our innate, it's part of our innate characters as human beings. We want to be part of the larger herd and not to be seen as different. It's very hard to come out of that comfort zone. So that was probably the biggest, and it still continues to be. Like it's easier when you're
There's
not on
always
vacation.
challenges. Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. And how did your family take that? Were they on board with you on this change, or were they
They
still kind of
were.
resistant?
They were on board with me for sure. And it was easier because I was doing all of the meal prep and the groceries and making the meals right from scratch. And I mean, I think I'm a good cook, and they appreciated the good meals that I was preparing. They're not, and actually, so my older son and my husband were also following it and had lost weight too and felt amazing, and they were flying on the ice when they were playing hockey. But they've resorted back to a little bit more of the standard Western diet, and same with my 14-year-old son. But um, I try to bring in healthy organic food as much as possible that they can consume at home, and then when they go out, I get that there's temptations, and they have you know yeah, I think they're probably coerced as well by the group
Yeah.
dynamics and stuff. So yeah, I mean, it was helpful because it was a regiment that I was initiating and that they were on board, and they know that the choices that I've made have been sustainable, and they're proud of me that I was able to accomplish it and still maintain it. They see it. They see. So I
No, that's
feel like
amazing.
it's part of modeling the behavior, because you can talk to someone and try to convince someone of something, but until they actually see it and you're actually just modeling that behavior,
Yeah,
maybe they're
absolutely.
they're probably skeptical. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. I know because I've my family is the same way. So it's
Is
like
that
what you
right?
put on the table, it's like, okay, this is what we eat, and it's like exactly.
Yes.
But we're more a little bit more, well, especially with the kids, a little bit more linear. It's like, as you said, being in that social setting, it's like, okay, well, they're going out for a birthday where they're having that pizza. Well, you're going to tell
Yeah.
them not to eat the pizza, right? So
I
it's
know.
like, okay, follow that 80-20 rule kind of thing,
Yeah.
where at home you eat super healthy, you do
Yeah.
all the prepping, you do all this stuff, and then that 20% is kind of like, it's okay, because you don't want to stress
Yes.
them out as well, right? Like my kids are still a bit younger,
No.
so yeah,
Yeah, exactly. And I think it's part of us as parents educating them and modeling them behavior as much as we can. I think that that's profound in terms of, what are we doing to keep ourselves healthy? And I think that will be ingrained in them, whether or not they're choosing those decisions now or not. I think it'll be important for later in their life when they're able to make, more informed decisions.
absolutely. I totally
Yeah.
agree with you. Yeah. So, what advice would you give to someone starting out on a journey like you, for example?
Yeah. So I really
I think a
think
lot of
that
people are looking for something to start. I just they don't know where, right?
yeah, I think to be honest, it's listening to your body. I feel like there were so many years where I didn't listen to my body. And I think we're distracted, with the world. We're distracted with the 9 to 5, we're distracted with the rat race, and we often put ourselves last. And
Mhm.
so I think it's really being in tune with our body, listening to our body, because I feel like when we have these ailments or when we have pain or discomfort, our body is trying to tell us something. And it's so important that I think we heed those warning signs before they turn into something maybe more serious or more aggressive. And that's one thing, not that I regret things, because I think things happen for a reason and we're living and learning. But if someone's starting out, it's definitely listening to your body and being in tune and intuitive with your body. um I mean, and no matter what, like if someone is wanting to go, on a health journey and they're thinking about, what diet or what protocol, I don't condone, one diet or protocol over another. I did start with healthy ketosis and intermittent fasting,
Mhm.
but I'm not in strict ketosis now. And I just feel it was a good reset for my body at the time. And I just learned a ton. What I would suggest, though, is to really think about removing those over processed foods that
The
wreak havoc
inflammatory
on our
foods.
system.
Mhm.
Yeah. And so I think no matter what diet you're on, that's the common denominator. It's removing the refined sugars, the carbs, the refined grains, and then those seed oils, as you mentioned, the canola oil. And that's in everything. That's in packaged foods, it's in processed foods. And they always say, stick to the perimeter of the grocery store. I mean, that's true. And reading the labels if you're buying the packaged foods, but really sticking to whole foods is really my approach. And I think what's hopeful about that though is that you will start to feel better relatively quickly, that you're not going to be starving. It's not going to be this deprivation diet. It really is, you're in control of your hunger and of your
Yeah,
cravings.
basically, don't give up. Just keep on
Yeah.
pushing through. And you know what? I
Yeah.
always say that if you fall through, it's okay. The next day is a new beginning. It's a new day. You
Yes.
just reset it and you restart, because
I
some
love
people
that.
have a difficult time, right? They're on that path.
Yeah.
And then, like you said, you go into that social event or something like that, and you see that beautiful, crisp croissant, for example, that you're like,
Yes.
oh my God, it's just you drooling.
Yeah.
It's okay.
Yeah.
I always say it's okay. You can reset the next day. Next day is a new
That's right.
beginning, right? So, yeah,
I agree.
it's hard to do for other people, but it's okay. Don't beat yourself over it, right?
Yeah. And what changed for me too, that I find empowering, is that sometimes when I have the food, like if okay, so if my family is having a craving and they're ordering the Uber Eats bullshit, food,
Right.
and I end up having some of it, I don't feel great after.
Hmm.
So again, I know it's my body telling me, yeah, that's bullshit food, Beth, and your system, it's not agreeing with you. So it's a deterrent. Whereas before, when I was eating that way more regularly, you just kind of felt shitty all
Numb.
the time. Yeah, it was normal. It was normal to feel shitty. But now when you're eating so much better and you crave to those things, it's amazing how your body quickly tells you, that wasn't a good choice. It wasn't worth it. It wasn't worth the short term craving.
Yeah. I crave dark chocolate. That's my
Yes.
thing.
Yeah.
Dark chocolate. Give me dark chocolate anytime. Although I don't eat a
Yeah.
lot because if I go for like the 90%, it's like
Yeah. Me too.
I can only bite half of it and that's it.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I like the
So
dark chocolate too.
yeah. So tell me about your work. What do you do now in terms of your business?
Yeah. Okay. So I am now. Well, I feel like I'm still transitioning. So I feel like, my health journey was my first awakening. And then with COVID, I felt like that was my second awakening. I'm not working for the government right now. I felt like, our values no longer aligned. And I wanted to really do something with my life where I was, helping others, especially in my journey of awakening, with regards to my health journey. So I ended up doing Jason Christoph's overcoming self-sabotage coaching certification.
Yes.
And so I'm a coach. And right now I'm really leaning into helping women empower themselves with getting healthy. And so I actually have a program upcoming in January. It's a group coaching program. So I do one on one coaching, and this is my first group coaching program that I'm launching in January. And it's about kickstarting your weight loss by mastering your mindset. When I think back to my health journey, I know that it was because I shifted my mindset. Before I launched into changing up my food choices and following a certain protocol, I knew that it was my mind that needed to be reprogrammed and rewired for success. And so there's so many tips and techniques and strategies that I provide clients in terms of how do you do that? How do you go from being kind of programmed to go a certain way and then really make this shift in order to be successful and get healthy and potentially lose weight as a byproduct of getting healthy. And so I'm launching that in January, but I do one-on-one coaching, and it's really around, you know, our self-sabotage that we all do, whether it's, I help people with everybody, everybody does it. I mean, I do it. I do it. It's a work in progress, right?
That's it.
Yeah. So I mean, I help people with overcoming some of their negative beliefs, with their bad habits, with their self-sabotaging habits. So whether it's smoking, whether it's the eating, the sugar, whether it's alcohol that they're wanting to wean off of, even caffeine. And so my program is quite comprehensive. Right now, I'm really leaning into, getting healthy and losing weight, because that seems to be where, women, especially, I think middle age in their 40s, are really wanting to gain control and
Mhm.
take control of their health. They realize, okay, every single passing birthday, I'm getting older, and am I getting any healthier? And
That's it.
I feel like this is a time in our lives when we're really waking up to the fact that, maybe our kids are growing up more too, and maybe we have more independence, more time, but we're really wanting to lean into our own inner power and what we can do about it, because it's totally within our power. And I feel
Yeah.
like if I can do it, anybody can
Anybody
do it.
can do it.
Yes.
Absolutely. Oh, I agree
Yes.
with you. Yeah. So if there's listeners listening to
Yes.
this, how do they go about contacting you? I mean, I'll put down the information once
Yeah.
we finish, and they can obviously. But right now, for example, where they can reach you.
Sure. So I'm on social media right now. I'm on Instagram at bethblackmore.co. I'm also on Facebook, Beth Blackmore. So that's Blackmore. I have a website that I launched in the spring. It is bethblackmore.com. And so for those curious also about my coaching services, I do offer a free one-on-one discovery call. So just head over to bethblackmore.com. And as I mentioned, I'm launching this group coaching package. It's in January. I'll be launching it actually next week to start in January. We start January 2nd. It's a 6-week kickstart your weight loss by mastering your mindset. And so you can check more out at bethblackmore.com /kickstart on my
Nice.
website.
Perfect. Oh, wonderful. Thank you for sharing. Yeah. So, what are your future goals and aspiration for um, what you're doing?
Yeah. So, I mean, I want to spread, the wealth. I want to spread my knowledge and experience as much as I can. I love the one-on-one coaching. I'm really thinking I'm going to like the energy from the group coaching and coaching, a larger group, taking it to the stage one day, and being, a motivational speaker, or I mean, something like that. I would love to have that kind of forum to spread the message, because it's really about empowering others. That's really what I want to do. I can't really believe that I'm on this side of the health journey where I feel like I can really influence and
Mm,
inspire other people. There's no way I would have thought that just 5 years ago.
yeah,
So
that's
it's really
beautiful. Your own
about,
mission. Hmm.
yes.
Yeah, that's beautiful. Well, Beth, thank you so much for sharing. Is there anything you would like to add?
I would just say, as someone starting out, I think it can be really overwhelming, in terms of the different conflicting health information out there. As I said, I think it's listening to your body, listening to your intuition, which I don't think we've really um, been promoted to do. So it's really listening to our body, and then, you know, I think it's really about, ditching those bullshit foods that do not serve us. And that's it, it's such a big overhaul, because we've been programmed to believe that this is the way people eat. This is, what our social engineers are very, very clever, in the sense that all the marketing and the branding that has gone towards the food industry, they've really bamboozled us and made us believe what's normal, what's healthy. And I think it's really time we take a step back and be reflective on, what is true health. Because I think for a long time in my subconscious mind, in the dark, deep, deep recesses of my subconscious mind, I knew that what I was eating, what I was doing to my body really wasn't serving my body, but I wasn't quite ready to make that massive overhaul.
You just said that
So
you have to be ready.
you have
Yeah.
to be ready. Yeah, that's right. That's right.
Yeah, you
And
can't
then
push anybody. You just have to know deep inside you're
yes.
feeling it, and you know, it's like you don't know where to reach out, you don't know where to go, and people like you and myself is we are here to do
Yeah.
that part of helping other people to step into their, you know, you can do this. So
Yeah, I love it. And really I think it's about people discovering other people that have gone through similar experiences to them, that have come out the other side and are there to provide you with their experience and their knowledge. You know, I think we have such a role to play having, been there, done that, and come out the other side. And now we're telling our success stories. So I think it's, gravitating to people that you can relate to, that have been there, that you want to aspire to, and follow in their footsteps, follow their advice. That would be
yeah,
my advice.
yeah. Oh, that's beautiful. Oh my goodness. Thank you so much, Beth, for your time. I really appreciate that. And yeah, I hope to stay connected. I'll post everything
Definitely.
online for you. And if there's anything that people need to know, there's going to be links, there's going to be information, and excellent for your coaching, for your group coaching program. I'll post everything there. So thank you so
Excellent.
much. Have a
Thank you,
beautiful
Alexandra.
day. Thank you.
Great to connect with you.